I am going to try running this, see what happens. I just don't remember. Everything's in there still. I got the condenser points. Points look to be in decent shape. But since this was out, I just got to make sure everything's good. So right off the bat, I noticed these two connections were loose on the actual points and condenser wire. So I tighten these down with a little 5/16 wrench. So those are snugged up and good. Now, second thing. I'll rotate this over to one of the cams, make sure that the distributor is actually opening and closing, because these screws were a little loose as well. See if I can get this somewhat on camera. Alright, underneath the rotor, you get a bunch of different slots along your distributor. The little cam that opens and closes the points. I don't know if this is going to show up on camera. But every time that hits one of the ribs on the cam, it will open and close the points. So I'm going to set this up onto one of them. And that opens the points. From there you can actually adjust your gap. Pushing this in or out. You're going to want to use a feeler gauge for this. I've done it enough times. I could grab a feeler gauge, but I'm fairly certain this is going to be right around 18 thou. I'll start there and see how it likes it. Again, this is just kind of the rough get it started settings. Alright, so we have distributor. Every time I rotate, that point gap opens and closes over every cam. So every time that opens and closes, it's going to break the contact, which will send a spark to the plug wires. We got that working. Okay. All right, steel gear is on. Now we can drop this back in the housing. I do have the motor set to top dead center. As far as I'm aware, I'm 90% certain that's where it's at. I did not do a compression check on cylinder 1 to make sure it was on the compression stroke, so I will verify that before we finalize this. But for now, I'm either there or I'm 180 out, one of the two. Okay. In there, but it's not where I want the motor to be. Since I'm completely retiming this, I got a little more wiggle room with where I set this distributor pointer to be. I can time the motor accordingly based on where this lands. In this case, I'll grab the cap real quick, make sure I'm lining up on a plug. Fairly certain in my truck I had the timing pointer, if you're looking at it, facing towards the back here, like this. On this one, I've got it pretty much aimed right at the driver's side headlight. I'm going to put a line right there on the vacuum advance so I can see where that's at. Being in the van and having to do this underneath the doghouse, it kind of changes how I want to work on it. I can't really clock or turn the distributor from the front. So if it's back here, it actually makes a little bit more sense if I have a visual of it up front.
Guilty.
Guilty? Of what?
Are you recording?
Mm-hmm. All right, the cap is marked. That's gonna be my number one. I got a mark on the actual distributor here too, with where the pointer is at. Bring that up a little bit just so I can see exactly where that's at. Like I said, it is at top dead center now. I'll verify that in a little bit. But let me grab the hold down for this, tighten that down, and at least get it snugged up enough to start. Half-inch head bolt. Like I said, 5/16. So you don't have to go crazy on this. Just tighten it down enough to hold the distributor in place. And for this initial, I'm just going to leave it definitely on the just snug side, because then we can go back in and shift the distributor as needed once we get it started. Enough to keep it in place. Coil wires up. I could not find a 1024 nut to save my life here. So, I got it alligator clamped for now. I don't recommend doing that, but I just gotta get this thing started. I just gotta grab a nut or a bolt. It's not that big of a deal to me. Better. This cable's fighting me a little bit here. Basically the stainless around that low car, or locker, or whatever it's called. The stainless around that is not slipping in. The braided line is separated. So that could be fun. I might have to do some adjustments on that TV cable to compensate for that. I'm not leaving the camera on the tripod for this one, but I just threw the plugs in. There's a little bit of paint on them, but they're clean. I cleaned up the ends. So I'm gonna run these and then get the firing order set. I am gonna run the 137-26548 as opposed to the non-high output ones. But I'll be back once I'm done with that. All right, plugs are in. Going through and doing the plug wires now. So we have 1, 3, 7. Again, I do plan on going through and cleaning all this up later. If this one's missing, I know why. Let me remake up this wire real quick. Alright, wires are all in. I know I'm going to have to top off a little bit of trans fluid here once I get it started. I know I spilled some pulling the trans, and then coolant, and then I think we are ready to pretty much try and pour some gas in the carb and fire this up. Alright, I'm not going to pour too much in, but just enough because I know this is going to need it. Start right there. Let me just snap down the intake manifold bolt first for when we start it up. And then I can keep an eye on it.